Human rights groups are holding a vigil for those affected by the deadly train accident in Taichung 2 months ago.
Some Taipei residents are without power due to a growing sinkhole on a main road. Taiwan is looking to bolster its cybersecurity, but negotiations could narrow the field of potential partners. Plus,
I've come to the hills outside of Taipei to follow an American woman searching for clues to her Taiwanese and indigenous identity.
hello and welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Eric Gao. Starting off in Taiwan news, rights groups have gathered in the central city of Taichung to remember the people killed and injured in May's deadly metro crash. Bing Wang was there.
Human rights groups marched to Taichung City Hall in central Taiwan to protest the government's lack of transparency regarding its investigation into a recent deadly train accident. 2 months ago, 1 person was killed and 10 others injured when a train failed to stop after a crane fell from a high-rise building onto the track. A video later surfaced showing it took 41 seconds before the train hit the brakes. The deadly train accident has renewed scrutiny of the metro system's safety guidelines. Activists say it's taking too long for the Taiwan city government to conduct an investigation.
They should release the more related information to the public and to tell us who was the responsible to the accident, the tragedy, and also what could be done to prevent all these tragedy happen in the future.
Human rights groups say it is not only doing a disservice to Shuya, the woman who was killed in an accident, but to the general public.
那这不仅是为淑雅讨公道，其实也是为了全民，为了台中市民，然后为了台湾的全民，针对这个公共安全的促进，我们希望可以尽一份力。
So far, the metro has announced new protocols, strengthening safety standards for future accidents. But activists say that's not enough. There needs to be an overhaul of the entire system, not just in Taichung, but all over Taiwan. Patrick Chen and Bing Wang in Taichung for TaiwanPlus.
A large sinkhole has knocked out water and gas to dozens of households in Taipei. It's the second big sinkhole to hit the capital this year, and the latest in a string of collapses that have swallowed roads across the nation. Bryn Thomas has this story.
This sinkhole on Nanjing West Road is causing chaos in a major traffic artery. The hole appeared on Saturday at 1 meter deep and over 1 meter long. But it's grown. On Monday morning, many commuters had to detour as work crews tried to patch up the widening hole. Workers expect it could take up to 4 days to finish the job. Nearby residents say this isn't the first time the roads had structural problems in the past few months.
上次的我没有拍，可是就是小小一个塌陷，因为住在这边，每次车子经过都会有点震动嘛，我就会害怕。
Sinkholes occur when water from sources like rain erodes the soil holding up the asphalt. And they're becoming a more common problem in Taiwan, which has seen several high-profile sinkholes this year. There was this collapse in the northern city of Jubei in April that drew international attention for swallowing a Tesla. And in May, another one in Taipei's Xinyi Business District. This weekend's sinkhole has been difficult to fix, as incoming tides cause water from a nearby river to seep underground. Engineers now think they know how the sinkhole started.
比较可能的原因应该是比较深层，大概7.8米的位置，有一支70公分的污水管。针对邻房的安全部分呢，初步来看基本上是没有问题的。
But in a year of many cave-ins, it's still unclear how officials plan to prevent sinkholes before they get out of control. Justin Wu, John Van Trieste, and Bryn Thomas for TaiwanPlus.
A series of earthquakes have rattled Taiwan's outlying Orchid Island. This island lies 60 kilometers off Taiwan's southeastern coast. The remote tropical island is a popular tourist destination, and at least 6 earthquakes ranging in magnitude from 4.3 to 5.3 struck on Sunday. There have been no reports of damages or injuries. As tensions with China continue to climb, Taiwan is working to disaster-proof its internet coverage. But talks with the largest company that provides satellite-based internet services have hit a roadblock. Ro Hughes reports.
For When Russia invaded Ukraine last year, one of its first moves was attacking critical infrastructure to take out the country's internet services. Ukraine's Minister of Digital Transformation appealed on Twitter to this man, Elon Musk, asking him to deploy Starlink. Starlink is a system which uses low-flying satellites to provide access to the internet. This has become an integral tool for Ukraine during the war, and now getting a similar system established here in Taiwan has become a priority.
这样子紧急的，不管是天灾啊、军事训练啊等等，维持高品质的、及时的这个通讯是非常重要。
Taiwan's internet connection with the rest of the world currently relies on 14 undersea cables. 2 of these cables were cut by Chinese fishing vessels in the past 6 months. Combined with increased Chinese military activity, officials here are looking to bolster cybersecurity if tensions continue to escalate. And for that, they need partners.
One was saying in the digital warfare or in the cyber warfare, it is no longer what the government can do by themselves. It definitely needs a lot of public-private collaboration and the trust between the government and the private sectors.
Taiwan is currently in negotiations with several satellite internet companies. UK-based OneWeb already provides the north of Taiwan with coverage and hopes to expand to the rest of the country by the end of this year. Another company is SpaceX, which runs a Starlink system used in Ukraine. But Bloomberg reports that Musk had an ultimatum regarding his company. Give him 100% control of the system, or Taiwan won't have access to its technology. This has not won over Taiwanese officials, given Musk's business interests in China combined with pro-Beijing sentiments he's made in the past.
If the government needs to 100% rely on a private sector, no matter that's Elon Musk or other private sectors, it means the government are giving away some of the authorities or power to control the devices or critical infrastructures that they need to use during the war.
Taiwan's plans to disaster-proof its internet services are becoming more and more urgent. Russia's invasion of Ukraine and heightened tensions with China have highlighted its importance. But a full ownership ultimatum may push Taiwan to look for tech partners other than the world's biggest satellite internet provider. Klein Wang and Harrell Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Semiconductor giant TSMC has seen its 4th consecutive month of shrinking revenue. On Monday, Taiwan's most valuable company reported it made about $5 billion in June. That's over 10% down from May and also more than 10% less than it made in June last year. The report comes just days after Taiwan reported the biggest drop in monthly exports since 2009. The finance ministry said this 14-year low was caused by weak demand for high-tech products like the ones TSMC helps produce. Meanwhile, new figures show that wage levels are rising in Taiwan, but overall income is staying the same. Numbers released Monday show people in Taiwan working full-time earned an average monthly salary of $1,500 in May. That's up over 3% from May last year. But there was little change in overall earnings once bonuses and overtime pay were added in. The average full-time worker took home $1,850 a month, almost exactly the same as the previous year. Electric sports cars are becoming more and more popular around the world, and students here in northern Taiwan had a chance to get some insights into this industry by building an electric racing car from scratch. After 12 months of production, this team of students from National Taiwan University can finally unveil their latest electric car design, and this 4th-generation racing model is now ready to hit the track. The car was built by the university's racing team and is named Epsilon 4. It's an upgrade on previous designs, meant to be lighter and more stable.
空力套件一样是用碳纤维制成，那我们的车架是用钢管车架。那我们这次的话也比较多特色点是在底盘部分。我们在底盘的部分的话，我们有增加了防倾感。
Last year, they joined other university teams from around the world to take part in the Formula SAE Australia race event. The Taiwanese team took 5th place in the presentation category, but they didn't get to race. That's because their car didn't quite pass the electric checks needed to get on the track. But this still turned out to be a valuable learning opportunity.
主要是在可靠度或是性能方面，我们比较有大的借鉴，因为我们还算是比较新的团队。
The students worked together to build their car from scratch, something which gave them insights that often only come from on-the-job experience.
那这些系统全部加在一起，看起来简单，但是线接来接去就总会有问题。 那这些问题是书本上比较不会讲的。
The new model will get its chance to race in less than a week. And however it performs, their time working on this project has helped give these students a head start in shaping their future. 24 years. That's how long this library book was overdue. The National Library of Public Information has been pushing for all of its outstanding checked-out books to be returned. It's even begun waiving fines as an incentive. The 24-year overdue book was just one of 6 that had been checked out over 2 decades ago and have now finally been returned. In total, there are some 30,000 books that are overdue by at least a year. Just 800 have been returned so far. An American woman who was separated from her Taiwanese birth parents as a baby has come back to Taiwan to try to find them and a missing piece of herself. Louise Watt joined her on her search.
U.S. helicopter paramedic Kuo Reese is back in the land of her birth, searching for clues to her identity. She was taken abroad from Taiwan at the age of 3, but suspects she was a victim of a child trafficking ring that came to light in the 1980s. She says she felt a void growing up in the U.S.
To be able to look someone in the face and see you, things that represent you back at you, like you do normally with your family, you don't think about. I think that would be an amazing feeling.
But searching for her parents is an uphill task when she doesn't know their real names, the name they gave her, or even her date of birth. Her adoption was brokered by a woman later convicted of forging documents. Now 42, Reese is back in Taiwan, visiting an indigenous village outside the capital Taipei because of a genealogy test that suggests she is partly indigenous. The 1970s and 80s were a time when adoptions from Asia to the West were growing. This also led to illegal adoptions, where children, often from indigenous areas like this one, were sold without their parents' consent, cast as orphans, or with traffickers pretending to be their parents. Accompanying Reese on her journey is her adoptive mother, Mary Reese, who was told the mother of the baby she was adopting had given birth out of wedlock and then married a man who didn't want to bring up the child.
My daughter would very much love to find her biological family. But I know she has it in her heart. If she doesn't, she's come back knowing the Taiwanese culture and things that I couldn't teach her.
Her trip to Taiwan is nearly over, and despite not finding her family, Reese feels she's made progress. A government office says it will help contact the couple registered as her birth parents, and she found a document that suggests she may have had a twin, who was also sent abroad. Reese is also given a DNA swab that will be added to Taiwan's police system, possibly helping to identify someone from her family. And she will be leaving Taiwan with a better understanding of its culture.
So obviously the outline is Taiwan. The temple that I went to, that I prayed and did the guapue at, the 101 building, because we keep passing it and seeing the 101 building, and then I have it on my left arm, next to my heart. So this trip will always be next to my heart, because it means so much, this trip.
As Reese prepares to return to New York, she will forever be marked by this time in Taiwan. Still hopeful she'll one day find the missing piece of herself. Leon Lien and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up, a unique concert took place down in Kaohsiung and opened to the public for the first time in its more than 30-year history. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. In international news, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has hailed a step forward in U.S.-China relations. That's after wrapping up talks in a landmark 4-day visit to Beijing. Yellen says the talks were substantive and direct, but she says the two countries still have significant disagreements over what she calls Beijing's unfair economic practices. U.S.-China relations have grown more tense in recent years amid U.S. concerns about human rights and the situation in the Taiwan Strait. Yellen's visit comes just weeks after a similar visit by U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. To find out more about Yellen's trip and what it could mean for the U.S.-China relationship, reporter Rick Lauert spoke to political scientist Ian Zhuang.
What do you think Yellen set out to do in Beijing, and do you think she was successful?
I think the expectations were low. It seems that Yellen set out to communicate the U.S. position on the economics. She set out to get to know the new economics team in the PRC. So I think both sides are trying to feel their way around right now to see what is possible. So I don't think there's any conclusion. You see that from the readouts on the two sides. While the Yellen U.S. readout was positive, there's nothing particularly concrete there. The PRC readout was a lot more cautious.
Is there any sense of how the two sides are going to overcome some of the big issues that have created these trade tensions over the last few years?
So what we're seeing now are some very early steps, and we're seeing a slew of Biden administration officials going over to the PRC. So they are all responsible for different areas. Yellen's obviously responsible for the economic piece. So that, I think, will help Beijing and Washington get a better sense, right, of where along those whole range of different issues, including on trade, can they find some common ground that is feasible to work on.
To what extent do the other disagreements between China and the US, for example, differences over Taiwan, affect the trade relations?
So I suppose there's some aspect of it. These different issue areas are also interlinked. Taiwan is only one of them. So what we are seeing is sometimes the PRC could take one issue such as Taiwan and to use that as a means to, call for a shifting of the U.S. position or to put blame on the U.S. We've not seen that so far. So I suppose that suggests a degree of willingness by Beijing, in addition to Washington, to want to move forward on their relationship.
That was Rick Lauert speaking to Ian Zhuang of the National University of Singapore. 6 people have been killed and another wounded in a knife attack at a kindergarten in southern China. The incident happened on Monday morning at a school in Lianjiang County in Guangdong Province. A 25-year-old man was arrested after the attack. The victims included 3 children, 1 teacher, and 2 parents. One Chinese report cited a witness as saying one of the adults killed in the attack had earlier struck the suspect's own child with their car. At least 19 people are dead after monsoon rains have lashed northern India. Dozens of people also had to be rescued after days of heavy rainfall. Monsoons usually hit the country between April and September. Weather officials have warned the downpours will last at least through Monday, with the capital New Delhi recording its most rain in decades.
हो गई है और पिछले 20 सालों का रिकॉर्ड टूटा है। और रही बात तैयारियों की, हमारी तैयारियां पूरी तरह से थी। अब इस बार रिकॉर्ड टूटा है, इसीलिए जलवायु की समस्या वो बढ़-चढ़कर आई है।
Back in Taiwan, multiple music events took place across the country over the weekend. Yvonne Yang went to the Kaohsiung Music Center for a special concert put on by the presidential office.
A warm voice coupled with images of the ocean. Indigenous Amis singer Sumin kicked off the presidential office concert in the Kaohsiung Music Center on Saturday. This song you're hearing is about the ocean, the theme of the event.
The Presidential Office Council was first held in 1991 by then-President Lee Teng-hui. Back then, only government officials and diplomats were invited to watch the show. Fast forward 32 years to now, for the very first time, the event is open to the public.
The Presidential Office Concert is a way to celebrate music, dance, and culture. This year, 25 groups of artists made up of almost 150 people took to the stage. The 2-hour show featured various acts from across Taiwan and abroad, with a wide range of musical genres and cultural influences. There were songs performed in Taiwanese Hokkien, Hakka, and other indigenous languages. This special stage installation is by Tang Meiyun Taiwanese Opera Company, one of the biggest groups working to preserve the art form. They are performing a medley about a sea goddess. A traditional puppet display led by 93-year-old puppet master Chen Xihuang was also featured in the show. And for the first time in the event's history, foreign artists joined the concert, like Lithuanian a cappella group Jazz Island. The band's inclusion highlights the deepening friendship between Taiwan and Lithuania in recent years, and led to the opportunity to perform a Taiwanese folk song. Jazz Island wasn't the only international act. Taiwan-born Japanese singer Hitoto Yo was also there to give a performance of Taiwanese folk music. Other musicians included punk rock band Fire X, hip-hop artist Aquaman, and the Naval Academy's marching band. At the end of the show, all of the performers were brought back on stage to sing the last number of the night, Forever Formosa. Kamashi and Yvonne Yang for TaiwanPlus.
The number of migratory birds stopping in northeastern Taiwan has dropped over the last 8 years. Scientists say habitat destruction is to blame, and they're introducing a new farming technique that could help bring the birds back. Yujing Huang has the details.
More space for people and less space for birds. In Taiwan's northeastern Yellen County, human activity is taking a toll on migratory bird habitats. Every year, fewer birds stop here during their annual migration. It's a trend that's worrying scientists.
我们第一年2014年过来这里，Sinkhole这边有非常多的青竹芋跟银斑芋，冬天的时候田里面都是。可是经过这10年，我其实每一年都开始在感觉到说，哎，这些鸟越来越少，非常的明显。
Scientists say the use of pesticides on local farms is to blame. It's used to kill an invasive snail species that eats newly planted rice seedlings. But these chemicals end up damaging the ecosystem, killing the creatures that migratory birds eat. That's why an environmental group called Science in Field is proposing a solution. They're teaching farmers to wait until their seedlings mature before planting them. This way, by waiting a little longer and working a little harder, they can grow rice without pesticides or pesky snails.
大秧这个方法，我们就是必须从种子的撒播，然后到就是照顾大概40到50天之后，然后用特殊的插秧机，然后进行插秧这样子。我们希望不使用任何的，不管是化学或天然的资材，来防治福寿螺，那减少对这边水生生物的冲击。
But is it working? The group held a fishing competition in the community to find out. Counting the results gave them a pretty good idea of their new program's impact. It's also helped increase awareness and get the community involved.
水沟你平常不会去理它这样子，但是因为参加钓鱼大赛，你就会发现水沟里面其实有很多你不知道的东西，然后这个就很像在玩宝可梦一样，你会有得到很多意外的惊喜。
And the results are in. As more and more farmers join this effort, more and more fields are able to support birds. Scientists hope this success is the first step in bringing the birds back and teaching people to coexist with nature. Ethan Pan and Eugene Huang for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching Taiwan Plus News. Finally, check out these shots of the Lower Keys Underwater Music Festival, where divers dressed as mermaids play instruments to raise awareness about reef protection off the Florida coast. I'm Eric Gao. Take care and see you next time.